Okay, let's start with. So what we have seen in the last time. Last time I think we have finished with the algorithm, flowchart, and all, right? Then data types and all. What do you mean by variable and constant, right? So we have discussed all this. What is variable? What is meant by constant, right? What are the different rules while declaring the variables? Okay. So these are some valid and invalid variable names. Variable cannot be a keyword, right? Because they are the already defined word whose meaning is already defined to the compiler, right? This is the limitation of variable. Variable can hold only one value at a time. Okay. Then the identifiers. Then we have discussed about the constant and how to declare the constant, right? So either you can use like this or you can write like this. So both are valid declaration for the constant. Constant is an entity whose value is not going to change throughout the program execution. That is nothing but our constant. Okay, so all these things we have discussed in the last session, and type conversion or typecasting. Okay, let's see this. Type conversion means what? Conversion of one data type into another data type is called as what? Typecasting, or you can call it as a type conversion. Okay, so we will convert one data type into another data type. That is called as what? Type conversion, or you can call it as a typecasting. Okay, type conversion means what? Conversion of a one data type into another data type. So we have so many data types like integer, character, float, and so on, right? So there are two types of typecasting or type conversion. So the first one is a automatic typecasting, and the second one is a manual typecasting. Okay. So let's see the first one, that is automatic typecasting. So the typecasting done by the compiler is called as automatic typecasting. Okay. So this type of typecasting, I mean the conversion from one data type to another data type, will be done by the compiler itself. We don't have to do it. Okay. This is called as what? Automatic typecasting. Let's see this example. This is example for automatic typecasting. So we are, as we know that we start our program with some header files declaration. Then void mean is the entry point for our program, right? Then we declare the variable. Then we write the clr function to clear the screen. Then we display the output, right? If you want to take the input at runtime, then we use scanf function for that. Okay, and then we use getch function to hold the output screen. Okay, now you might be thinking that I have declared one variable. This is the variable name, that is C, which is of type character, right? The C variable data type is what? Character type. Okay, what is meant by character? That is nothing but a single character. So that should be enclosed in a single quote. So we are enclosing it in a single quote. That's nothing but a character, right? I'm displaying I'm displaying the value of C, right? And so through printf function we can display it, right? So I'm displaying the value of C. And what is the value of C? A. So it should display what? It should display capital A, because that is the value of C. This value will be assigned to C variable. That is what our assignment operator. It assigns this right side value to this left side variable. So it should display capital A, right? But instead, let's see the output, what it displays. Okay. So once you start your Turbo CID, so this was the program which I explained in the last lecture. but I don't want to see this, right? So just click on Windows and close. So that window will be closed. Okay. Now I will show you uh, how to create a file, C file. Okay, and how to type program and how to run it and all. Okay. So you need to go to the file. In file, you have to click on new. So this blue screen will be open. Okay. In file, new. But see, what is the default extension? Some file name is given noname00.cpp. CPP means what? C++. But this is not a C++ programming language. This is our what? C programming language. So I must save this program with .c. Okay, instead of this CPP, I'll write it as a .c only. Okay, and then I will give some name to my program, right? So I can give any name to my program, right? As we are saying this typecasting, so I will write it as a type.c. You can give any name, but it should be saved with .c extension. Remember, right? And it will be saved here in this path. C C / turbo C bin. In bin folder, this program will be saved. Okay, type.c and click on OK button. Now you can see the name is changed now, right? Now the name become type.c. So whenever you start your program, before that you need to do this. Okay, save your username to your program, then .c extension. Okay, otherwise you will face problem. So how we start our program? With header files. So what are those header files? Hash include stdio.h and hash include conio.h. We use these two header files, right? Because printf and scanf function is a part of stdio, and CLR, SCR, and getch function are part of conio.h header file. Header files are not mandatory, but it is good practice to use header file in your program so that the declaration of those predefined function will be correct. So what is the entry point for C programming? Void main, right? Void main is the entry point. That is the entry point for each and every programming. So you see also main is the entry point, right? So once you enter the main function, we need to declare the variable. So now I'm taking character type variable. So the data type char c is the variable name is equals to I want to assign capital A value to this C variable, right? Because as this is a character type, right? So I have assigned capital A to C, okay, C variable. So in C variable, capital A will be there. So after declaration of variable, what is the next step? We write what? CLR SCR function to clear the screen. CLR SCR. Right? Then I want to display the value of C. So I'll write printf function. Printf function. What is the syntax while displaying? We write the format specifier. What is the format specifier for character? %C, right? It should be what? %C, comma, comma. What is the value we have to display? Value of variable C. So I'll type C. I want to display the value of C, and this is the %C is nothing but the format specifier for character. Just like for integer, we have %d or %I. For float, we have %f. Like that, for character, we have %c. Okay. Then after that, to hold the output window, we use getch function. We use getch function. How to compile the program? In the bottom, as you can see, Alt F9 is for compile. Okay, so you can click on here also. Compile, Alt F9. RAM is compiled successfully. There is no warning, there is no error, right? Now we will run. How to run? Control plus F9. So what it display? Character A. Okay. What it display? Character A, because I have stored this character in variable C, which is of type character. But instead of this %C, if I write %D, what will be the output? Because this is the format specifier, %D is the format specifier for integer data type. Let's see the output. Control F9. It is displaying 65. Why it is showing 65? It is showing the output as 65. That's what I was telling you. Because I have written here %D. So obviously it will display integer type of value. If I write %C, it will display this character, right? So as you change the format specifier, your output is also changing, right? You have taken the input as character type, but it gets converted into integer type because of this format specifier. But who is doing this conversion? Your compiler is doing this conversion. Your character is getting converted into integer type, means character type of data will be converted into integer type of data. This is what the definition of typecasting or type conversion. We are converting one data type into another data type. So our input was character type, right? But the output is integer type. So character type is converted into integer type by whom? By compiler. This is called as automatic typecasting. This is called as automatic typecasting. Now you might be thinking, why it displays 65? Why not 66? Why not 67 for capital A? Because we have ASCII values for characters. Okay. So there is ASCII values for characters, like for capital letter from capital A to Z, from capital A to Z, we have 65 to 90. Okay, 65 to 90, right? Now you might be thinking, so this is the starting range. It starts at 65, and for Z it will be 90. It means for capital B it will be what? 66, right? For capital C it will be what? 67. Capital D it will be what? 68, so on. So for capital Z it will be 90. So these are the ASCII values for capital letters. Okay. Now for this was related to capital letters. Right. Let's see for small case letters. Let's see for small case. from small a to small z. What are those ASCII values? For small a, it is 97, and for small z, it will be 122. Okay, so these are the ASCII values for, what is meant by ASCII values? American Standard Code for Information Interchange. This is the long form for this ASCII. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. And there is some ASCII value related to every characters. Okay, so these are the ASCII values for capital and small case letters. So obviously, for small a it is 97. For small b, obviously it will be 98. For small c, it will be 99, and so on. Okay, so these are the ASCII values. Now you might have understood why it is displaying 65 for capital A. Okay, understood? Okay, the next type is manual typecasting. Okay, the first type was what? Automatic typecasting. It was done by the compiler, right? But the next type, that is manual typecasting, is done by the programmer. Remember, manual typecasting will be done by the programmer. That's why it is called as manual typecasting. Okay, so what is the syntax for manual typecasting? So we write target variable. Okay, target variable is equals to source data type in bracket, and outside of bracket we write source variable. Okay, you'll not understand this syntax directly. Let's see with examples. So I have declared one variable a which is of type integer, and the second variable b which is of type float. Okay, and I want to convert float value into integer value. Okay, float को मुझे convert करना है integer में. So this will not be done by your compiler. Remember, you have to do it on your own. Okay, so that's why it is called as a manual typecasting. Suppose I will take some input for this variable float b through scanf function. Right, from scanf we take the input. Right, suppose the input is 3.40. Suppose the input is 3.40. Okay, and I just want this 3. I'm not interested in this values after this decimal point. I'm just interested in the integer value. I'm not interested in this point after values. I'm not interested. So for that I need to convert the float value into integer value. Okay, so I just want 3. I don't want this 0.40. I need to convert the floating value into integer value. Okay, float into integer. So how to do it? So we will follow this syntax now. See, I want to convert into integer type. So this is what our source data type. In bracket we have to write what? Source data type. So I want to convert into integer. So in bracket I will write int. Right? Then the source variable means which variable you want to convert. I want to convert this b variable which is of type float, क्योंकि मुझे float को integer में convert करना है. Float का variable कौन सा है? b. So that's why you need to write this b outside of this round bracket. Remember, source data type means what? In which data type you have to convert. I want to convert into integer type, right? Because the float into integer, right? And what is the source variable? The variable which you want to convert, right? So even though the value of b is 3.14, it will get converted into integer. It means value of a, that will be 3, and it will be assigned to variable a. So now the value of variable a will become 3. Then I will display that value. So I will get 23 here, not 3.40. Okay. This is called as manual typecasting. This typecasting was done by me, not by your compiler, using this syntax. I am using some syntax to convert the float value into integer value by using this syntax. I am following this syntax in this state. I want to convert the float type into integer. So I want to convert into integer. That's why I need to write it in a round bracket. Then which variable you want to convert? I want to convert b variable. So write it outside the b, outside that round bracket, right? And that value, now this value will become integer type, will be assigned to a. So it will become 3 only. So if you display the output, then you'll get 3 only, not 3.40. So this is called as what? Manual typecasting. Understood? All of you understood or not? Understood? Okay. Only one student is giving response. What others are doing? Are you sleeping? If I'm asking something, you should quickly reply. Okay, so shall we proceed? Okay, okay. The session should be interactive, okay? Then only you'll learn something. Okay, so this was related to typecasting. So we have two types of typecasting, or you can call it in some of the book. The heading might be type conversion. In some of the book, you may get it as a typecasting. So that's why I have given both. Okay. So conversion of one data type into another data type is called as what? Typecasting. There are two types of typecasting: automatic typecasting and manual typecasting. In automatic typecasting, the typecasting will be done by the compiler. We don't have to do anything here, right? Then in manual typecasting, you have to do it on your own, right? So it will be like this. The next one is we'll start with operators. Let's see the operators now. Okay. Before starting some programs, we'll see the operators. Without understanding operators, you will not be able to understand the programs. So you must know what is the operators, what are the different operators in C programming language. So what do you mean by operators? So operators, it indicates the operation to be performed on the operand. किस टाइप का ऑपरेशन आपको परफॉर्म करना है ऑपरेंड्स पे. Now you might be thinking, what is the operand? Let's see. So I want to do some operation, that is addition operation. Okay. On these variables. So these variables are called as what? Operands. Right. I want to do addition of these two variables. So A and B are nothing but the operands. Right. And which operation we are performing? Addition operation. You can perform any kind of operation, right? Just to make it clear what is operation, what is the operands. I've given this example. Okay. So operators are divided into three categories. What are those categories? The first one is unary operator. The second one is binary operator. And the third one is ternary operator. It is also called as, this operator is also called as conditional operator. Remember, in some of the books you might find it as a conditional operator. So at that time, it might be possible that you will get confused. So that's why I'm giving both the names. You can call it as a ternary operator or you can call it as a conditional operator. Okay. So let's see what is in by unary. Unary means what? One operand, only one operator. That is called as what? Unary. So one operator will be used with only one operand. So that's why it is called as a unary. In binary, only one operator, but there are two operands, A and B. So it comes under binary category. Then the next one, that is ternary, or they call it as a conditional operator. So this is the syntax for conditional operator. We write some expression before question mark, and after question mark there will be some result. Let's see by example. We'll see that ternary operator in detail later on. Okay, so this is the ternary operator. So we have three types of three categories of operators here, right? Unary, binary, and ternary. Now we'll see one by one. Okay, now we'll see by different categories of operator, not by unary, binary, and ternary. Okay. Now I will at that time I will ask you whether this operator comes under unary, binary. So you have to tell whether it comes under unary or binary. Okay? Now we will start with arithmetic operator. Okay. You know, arithmetic operators is nothing but addition. Then this is the subtraction. Then this is star is for multiplication, and then division. Right. So all these are what? Arithmetic operators. One more operator, that is modulus. Okay. Addition, you know, a plus b, 10 plus 20 will be 30. Right. Subtraction, a minus b, that is 30 minus 20 will be 10. Right. The third operator, arithmetic operator, is what? Multiplication. A into b, that is 10 into 10 will be 100. Then the next one is division. Right. Division, it returns what? Quotient. It returns what? Quotient. So 10 divided by 5, obviously the quotient will be 2. Okay. So this division, it can work with floating numbers also. Along with your integer, it can work on floating numbers also, like this. You can see 7.0 divided by 4, the result, that is the quotient, will be 1.75. Then 7 divided by 4, the quotient will be 1. Minus 7 divided by 4, the quotient will be minus 1. Okay. So I just mean to say that it works with the floating point also, and you know how to calculate the quotient, right, of the division. Let's see the next one, that is modulus operator, which comes under the arithmetic category only. Okay. This returns the remainder. Remember, division operation, it returns quotient, whereas your modulus operator, it returns what? Remainder. So this 10 divided by 5, it will become what? 0, right? Because it returns what? Remainder, not quotient. Division operator returns quotient, whereas the modulus operator returns what? Remainder of the equation. Okay, and remember this point, it does not work with floating point. It does not work with floating point number. Okay. So if I say you that you have to write a program for arithmetic operation, then how you'll start your program? How you'll start your program? So I'm opening Turbo C. Okay. I don't want to see this window. So click on window, then click on close. That window will vanish. Okay. Now I want to create a separate program. So click on file, new. This blue window will be open, right? But I don't want this extension because my programming is C programming. So file, go to save as. So I'll give name it as a OP1. That is because we are discussing about operators, so that's why I can give any name. OP1.c. Okay. Click on OK. I think I already created this file, right? Override the existing file. So if you get this message and if you click, so you have two options, three options here: yes, no, and cancel. So if you click on S, that previous file will go on. If you say no, then you can change, give some other name, right? If you cancel it, then this name will be as it is. Okay. So I'll give some other name instead of that OP1. No, save as. This is the arithmetic operator. I'll give name it as a arith.c and click on OK. Okay. So how we start our program? We start our program with the header file. What are those header files? Hash include stdio.h, then hash include. What is the second header file? Ponio.h. And what is the entry point for our programming language? What is the entry point? Void main function. Without main, we cannot execute our program. Remember. So in main function, we will write the logic now because I just want to perform the arithmetic operations, right? I just want to perform the arithmetic operation, right? So what is the first step in main function? You need to declare the variables. You need to declare the variables, right? So I want to declare integer type of variable, right? So a, comma, b. Okay. Then what is the next step? After declaration of variable, what will do? What will write? CLR SCR function. CLR SCR function. Then what is next? I want to take a runtime input. Instead of assigning value to a and b variable, I don't want to write like this. A is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. I don't want to assign values here because my program will be static then. I want to make my program dynamic. I should be able to change my value at runtime. So for that, you need to take the input through scanf function. But before that, you need to display some message to the user that you have to enter the values for A and B. You have to enter values for A and B. And after each and every statement, don't forget to use semicolon because each and every year statements are there, right? And what is the rule of C programming? Each and every statement should be terminated with semicolon. Remember, only statement. I'm not talking about function. Don't give semicolon here, right? Otherwise, you will get error. I will show that also, right? So why I'm displaying this message so that the user will get idea that I have to enter values for A and B. I have to enter values, not the characters. Remember, by mistake, your user might give some character type of value, right? So you need to clear him, and you have to enter values for A and B, only two values, and that should be values only. Okay. Then how to take the input from keyboard? How to take input to scanf function. Right? We use the scanf function. How many inputs you want? Two inputs, one for A and one for B. So how many format specifier you will write here? In double quotes, how many format specifier you will write? Two format specifier, right? Which type of format specifier? My A and B variable is of type integer. What is the format specifier for integer? Percent %d. How many? Two. Right? Comma. Double quotes complete comma. For A and B, I want to take the input. Remember, while taking the input through scanf function, you need to write ampersand symbol, ampersand A, comma, ampersand B. Why we write ampersand symbol? Because when I will give input, suppose 10 and 20 or 20, 30, anything, that input will get stored at a particular memory address, right? So this ampersand symbol represents the memory address. As I told you that whatever values you take as an input, that value will stored at particular memory address in the computer, right? So while taking the scanf function, you need to write what? The ampersand symbol, remember. Not in printf. So what will go next step? To display the values. To display the values. Values for what? Values for what? All the operations. I want to do addition of A and B. I want to do subtraction of A and B. I want to do, what is the next operation? Multiplication of A and B. I want to do division of A and B. I want to do modulus operation of A and B. How many format specifier you needed for this modulus operation? 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. So 5 times I have to write here percent B. 2, 3, 4, 5. Because how many values you are going to display here, that many format specifier you have to write here. How many inputs you are taking here, that many format specifier you have to write here. Okay. Now, after displaying that value, what is the last stage? Gate ch. If you are not writing gate ch in your program, then you will not be able to see the output. That output window will be vanished within fraction of second. Okay. Let's try to run this program without this gate ch function. Control F9. Right. So I take input for A is 10 and for B it is 5. Not able to see the output. Why? Because I forgot to write here gate ch function. Now I will be able to see the output. Value for A is 10, value for B is 5. Right? But what is this 15? What is 5? What is 50? What is this 2? What is this 0? Right? It is not possible as for us to remember all this, right? Right? This 15 is result of which operation? I don't know because I'm not able to remember it. What is this 5 comes from? Which operation I have performed on A and B? So for that, we can perform the formatting according to our requirement. So this first percent %d is for which operation? This addition operation. The second percent %d is for this subtraction operation. This third percent %d is for multiplication operation and so on. Okay, each and every percent %d will be matched here. Remember. So this first percent %d is for addition operation. So I'll write addition is equal to percent %d. What is the next operation? Subtraction is equal to percent %d. Next one, which is the next operation? Which is the next operation? Multiplication operation is equal to. What is the next one? Division operation. Division is equals to. What is the next one? Modulus. Modulus operation. Now run the program. Value for A is 10, value for B is 5. Now just see the output. Addition is 15, subtraction is 5, multiplication is 50, division is 2, and modulus. Division returns what? Quotient. Modulus returns what? Remainder. Now you will be able to see the. So I have just formatted the output here. Right? So printf can be used to format your output. Remember, printf can be used here to format your output, right? And remember, in scanf function only we give the ampersand symbol. Never give ampersand symbol in printf function. Never give. Okay? Because I am interested in values. I am interested. Suppose I have taken 10 and 5, right? Value of A is 10 and value of B is 5. So the result will be 15, right? If I take the ampersand symbol before it, then it will display the memory address, not that value. But I'm not interested in memory address. I'm interested in values only. So don't give ampersand symbol here. Ampersand symbol don't give in printf. Only you have to use in a scanf function, because when you take the input, that input will get stored at particular memory address. Okay. Why we use CLR to clear the screen? Because if I forgot to write this, if I forgot to write this, then every time, every time here I'm getting the previous output also, right? Now I change the input 15, 5. But I'm able to see the previous output also. But I don't want to see the previous output. I'm just interested in current output. So I write CLR. Now see. It will be clear. 10 and 5. Okay. Remember one point. While doing this operation, instead of integer, if I take it as a float, then if it is float, then instead of %d, I need to write it as a %f, because the format specifier for float is %f. Obviously, I have to change here also. %f. But instead of %d, I need to write it as a %f now. So %f. Okay. Now let's check what happens. It is giving error. What is that error? Illegal use of floating point. Why I'm getting this error? Any guesses? Any guess? Illegal use of floating point. Any guess? In chat box you can write, or you can tell orally. Any guess? Why I'm getting this error? Why I'm getting it? I already told you while explaining all the operators, arithmetic operators. Why I'm getting this error? Tell me. Tell me quickly. Even though it is wrong, it is okay. But tell me. I'm not going to punish anyone. What might be the reason? At least you should think. What might be the reason? Any guesses? Any guesses? I have told you that this modulus operator cannot be used with floating point. Remember, modulus operator cannot be used with floating point. That's why it is showing this way. We cannot use floating point for this modulus operation. Okay, that's why it is showing error, because when I took the input for A and B is integer type, it was able to perform the modulus operation. Okay, so the problem is with modulus operation only. I can perform the addition of a floating point, I can perform the subtraction of floating point, right? But I cannot, but I cannot perform the, still I'm getting the error because I have declared it as a, I have declared it as a float type, those two variables A and B, on which I'm trying to perform the operation. So while performing the modulus operation, it should be integer type only. Remember this point. Should be what? We need to change all these format to percent d percent d. Yes. Understood this point? I was trying to prove this point. It does not work with floating. Now understood? Understood or not? Okay, so all these are the arithmetic operators. Now let's see the next category. Okay, tell me this arithmetic operator, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. These are unary operator or binary operator? Tell me which one? Unary or binary? Unary or binary? Arithmetic operators. Yes. Yes. Correct, Rishabh. It is binary, right? So what is unary then? So we have two operators here: unary plus and unary minus. Okay. Unary plus and unary minus. What is unary plus? It will keep the value as it is. Okay, this unary plus will keep the value as it is. Okay, but if you take the unary minus, that is minus b, then it negates the value, it negates the value. Let's see by example. Remember these points. Okay, while I'm going to the practical demonstration, you need to keep in your mind all these points. You are not able to answer this. Okay, so plus will keep as it is, and this minus, that is unary minus, it will negate the value. If I want to see how many programs are there in my directory already I have done, so let's check for file, then open. File, go to open menu. Okay, so instead of this cpp, star means what? All dot c program, so you have to exclude this pp, because I'm not interested in a C++ program. I'm interested in only .c program. So Star means all .c program will be open. Okay, all these programs I have done so far. Type, then Raj demo, then OP1, then demo one, and this one which we have just done, right? Okay. Now I want to close all these windows. Window close all. So all window will vanish. Right? I want to create new programs for this. So in, click on file, new, click on file, save as, and give any name. Unary, unary.c. I can see the name is changed here. So start with the header files. I include stdio.h, then hash include conio.h. So what is the entry point for C program? Void main function. This is the entry point. The program execution starts from main function, not from the header file. Remember, program execution starts from main function. Okay. So I'll declare a variable that is a. Then after declaration of variable, we write CLR SCR function. Okay, and I will try to display the value. Use printf function. So how many operations we have to perform? Two operations, %d, %d. What are those operations? Plus a and minus a. Okay, or you can just change it. We'll take two variables, a and b, so plus a and then minus b. So after displaying, what is the last step? Use getch function and run the program. What it is showing? It is showing the garbage value because I have not assigned any value to these variables. Okay, so either you can assign here or you can take the input through scanf function because those values displayed previously, it was a garbage value assigned by the, or can say it as a default value assigned by the operating system. Either you can declare the values like this, but this is not a recommended declaration. You need to take the input, right? Input, input for A and B. Enter, enter the values for A and B. Terminate with semicolon. And take the input through scanf function. Take the input through scanf function. How many inputs do you want? Two inputs. So write the format specifier for 2 times. Right? Percent A, comma, percent B. Terminate with semicolon. Now run it. Now it is asking for values for A and B. For A it is 10 and for B it is, I can see. Plus A means what? It will display the value as it is. And minus means what? It will negate the value. So this is what? Unary plus and unary minus. Remember. So this is unary plus and unary minus. It is different than the arithmetic operator. This comes under unary operators, and the arithmetic operator that comes under binary category. Okay. Now let's see Now let's see the next category. Now we'll see, let's see size operator. Okay, these are also a simple one. Before this size of, we'll see some other operators like we have these many categories of operator. Arithmetic operator, which we have discussed just now. Then we have relational operator. Then we have logical operator. Then we have bitwise operator. Then we have assignment operator. Remember all these categories of operator. We are just finished with arithmetic operator. Now let's see the second type, that is relational operator. Relational means all these operators is the relation between two operands. This is the equality operator. Remember, this is the equality operator. This double equal. This double equal means what? That is what? Equality operator. It checks whether two values are equal or not. 10 is equals to 10. It will be true. True means what? 1. Remember this one. 10 is equals to 10. Okay. This single equal is nothing but the assignment operator. Is nothing but the assignment operator. It assigns the right side value. Assigns the right side value to the left side variable. This is assignment operator. This single equal. If it is a double equal, then it is equality operator. It checks whether 10 is equal to 10. It is true, then 1. If it is false, then it will be 0. But most of the time students are confusing with these two operators, okay? Because they look very similar, okay? But there is a difference. It checks whether these two are equal or not, okay? And this assigns, this is what assignment operator. This assigns the right side value to the left side variable. Okay, now you might have understood this. Okay, now let's check for this next one, that is not equal to. Right? 10 is not equal to 20. Next is what? Not equal to. 10 is not equal to 20. True or false? True or false? 1 or 0? Tell me. That is what? 10 is not equal to 20. Yeah, this is correct. So the output will be 1. 10 is not equal to 20. Okay, so output will be 1. It is correct. 10 is not equal to 10. It is false. So the output will be 0. Okay, so this is what was not equal to operator. You know this. Okay, which is this operator? Greater than. A is greater than B. If it is yes, then result will be 1. If it is no, then the result will be 0. Okay, this is less than operator. A is less than B, true, then 1, false, 0. This is greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. 10 is greater than or equals to 20. True or false? True or false? What will be the output? 1 or 0? Any guesses?
0.
0. Why 0? Any reason behind that? Any reason? At least try to answer. 10 is greater than or equals to 20, because 10 is not greater than 20 and it is not equal to 20. Now, what will be the output? Any guesses? Any guesses? अरे गलत हुआ तो चलेगा, but at least answer. 10 is greater than equals to 10. What will be the output? Is it greater? No. Is it equal? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Tulwa. Tulwa. Why? Because even though it is not greater, this 10 is not greater than 10, but it is equal. Okay, so the output will be 1. Okay. What is the next one? Less than or equal. Now you might have understood this. Okay. Either it should be less or it should be equal. That's why we are calling it less than or equal to. Then the next category. Oh, so can you write the program for this relational operators on your own? Just like our arithmetic operators, you can write
Yes,
it
sir.
on your own. Like what you have to change over there. So I will just tell you what are the changes you have to do in that program. What name we have given to our program? What name we have given? So we'll find out all the programs. This one, arith.c. I'll just click on it. And I just want to see this window, so I'll click on this icon. Okay. But I think I have not saved that program. Okay, so I forgot to save that program. So what changes we'll do over there? Hash include. So without header file also we can run our program. Let's see without header file. Void main, but you have to practice with header files. And the entry point or program, right? So integer. How many variables you needed here? So the relational operator comes under unary category or binary. Unary or binary? Tell me. Unary or binary relational operator. So we need at least 2 variables here because it comes under what? Binary category. So after declaration of variable, we write CLR SCR function. After that, we need to display some message to the user. So printf function that we have to enter the values for A and B. Then take the input through scanf function. How many inputs you want? 2 inputs. So write %g for 2 times, comma, ampersand A, comma, ampersand B. Terminate with semicolon. Each and every statement should be terminated with semicolon. Okay. So what to write here? Printf. How many operations you want to perform? Just check with those operations. What was the first one? A is equals to B. What was the second one? What was the second one?
A is not equal to B.
Okay, A is not equal to B. Third one. What was the third one?
A is greater than equal to B.
Okay, A is greater than B. Then A is less than B, right? Then the next one, A is greater than or equals to B, and then A is less than or equals to B, right? Or terminate with semicolon. Now, how many format specifier you have to write? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times you have to write the format specifier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So after displaying the values, we write the get cf function. We write the get cf function. Now start again the program. So value of a is suppose 10 and value of b is suppose 5. Now you can check the c 0 1. So, okay. And for your better displaying the output, you can modify those values. I mean the output, right? Because you don't know what is this 0 for. You don't know what is this 1 for, right? So you have to do the modification here, right? You have to display something here. You have to use some message over here to printf function, right? That this is the equal operation. Equal is equals to percent d. Then not equal, right? Not equal is equals to percent d. Like that you can do the name. Okay. So accordingly it will format your output. Okay. You can see for first it is showing the some masses, right? So the first 0 is for equal operation, the second one is for not equal, and so on. Like that, you can uh, format the output here using printf function. One point I already told you that without now you can see without header file I have run my program. So you can say that without header file also I can run my program. Header files are not mandatory, and I told you that void main is a user defined function. It is not a predefined function like CLR, SCR, printf, scanf, and getCL. All these are predefined functions, but this is a user-defined function. For predefined functions are nothing but the statement in C programming, right? What is the rule of C programming? Each and every statement must be terminated with semicolon. That's why we use semicolon after each and every predefined function, but we never give semicolon. If I give the semicolon by mistake, what will happen? Show the declaration terminated incorrectly. Will show the error because it is not a predefined function. It is what? User defined function. So never give semicolon after main function. Remember this point. Understood? Okay, so we have just finished with the relational operator. Let's see logical operator. So the first logical operator is AND, then the second one is OR operation, and then the third one is a NOT operation, that is exclamation. Right? Relational operators were the binary operators, right? What about this logical operators? Is it comes under binary or unary category? First two comes under binary, right? And the third one comes under what? Unary category. That is not operator. This is logical not. Remember, logical and logical or, and then logical not operation. Okay. Tell me output for this. Have you gone through this? A logical and, that is logical and. Suppose the A value is 10 and B value is 20. Now tell me what will be the output. What will be the output for this program? I am doing logical AND operation over A and B. Okay, and value for A is 10, value for B is 20. What will be the output? Any guesses? What will the output? What is AND operation? You might have studied it in 11th. What is AND operation? If both the conditions are true, if both are true, then the output will be both are true, then the output will be 1. Otherwise 0. Right? These conditions are true or not? 10 and 20. Remember, all positive and negative numbers are 1, and remaining is what? 2 negative numbers, right? So the remaining is what? Negative numbers, that will be 0. Remember this point. So 10 is positive or not? Yes. 20 is also positive, even though it is negative, then also it will be 1. Okay. So what will be the output for this? 10 means what? 1. Because all the positive and negative numbers are 1. 1 and what is 20? It is also positive number, so it will be 1. 1 and 1. Both are true. Both are true means what? 1. This is the AND operation. So 1 and 1. 1 and 1 will be 1. Output will be 1. Remember. Understood? Now let's check for another one. A value is -6 and B value is 7. Now tell me, A, this double pipe is nothing but a OR operation now. Logical OR. This was logical AND operation. Right? Now this is logical OR operation. What will be the output? You tell me. A value is -6 and B value is 7. Note is already given. Just use the note and tell me the answer. How OR operation works? AND operation means what? Both are true, then it is 1. Otherwise, remaining operation will be 0. Right? Remaining operation means what? If it is 1, 0, then also it will be 0, right? In the next one, if it is 0, 1, then also it will be 0, right? If it is 1, 1, then only the AND operation will be 1, right? What about OR operation? What about OR operation? At least 1 should be 1. 1 should be 1. Right? Yes. If it is 1, 0, in case of OR operation, it will be 1. If it is 0, 1, then also it will be 1 in case of OR operation. But in case of AND operation, if both are 1, then only it will be 1. Otherwise, all remaining operation will be 0 only. 0, 0 will be a here, but here only 0 0 will be 0. Remaining all will be 1. Remaining all will be 1. Okay. What will be the output? Any guess? What is the output?
1.
Yes, correct. 1 is the correct output. Yes, you guessed it correct. Why? See, A. What is the value for A? Minus 6. Minus, even though it is a negative number, it is what? 1. Or, okay, 1 or 1 or what is the value of B? 7. So positive number. So it will be 1 only, right? 1 equal to what is 1 or 1? 1 or 1 will be 1 only. Because in logical operation, if both are 0, then only it will be 0. Remaining all operation will be 1. Okay, so this is our logical OR operation. Then the last one is logical NOT. Logical NOT. NOT of A. Let's see. Value of A is suppose 10. This is what? Logical NOT operation. Logical NOT operation. Tell me what will be the output. Any guesses? Any guesses? अरे कुछ तो गेस होगा
0.
0 या फिर 1 होगा कुछ तो बताओ या फिर खाना खा रहे हाँ आपका एक बार बेसिक सब हो जाएगा ना उसके बाद में सबके स्क्रीन देखने वाला हूँ और जिसने भी स्क्रीन शेयर नहीं किया ना उसका सीधा एब्सेंट ही लगेगा इतना याद रहो मैं तुम्हारे लिए एफर्ट्स ले रहा हूँ तुम्हारा 100% कॉन्सेंट्रेशन यहाँ पे हो रहा है होना चाहिए ओके ये मत समझो कि सर बस पढ़ाते जा रहे हैं सर को प्रैक्टिस करवाते लेना जब मैं तुमको बोलूंगा कि आप तुमको स्क्रीन चालू करना है तब मैं हर एक का स्क्रीन देखूंगा और मुझे हर एक का सॉफ्टवेयर पहले इंस्टॉल चाहिए मैं देखूंगा कि तुम लोग सच में प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं नहीं कर रहे हैं एरर आ रहे हैं स्क्रीन शेयर करो मुझे बताओ कि सर यहाँ से एरर आ रहा है लेकिन जिसने भी स्क्रीन दिखाने में कुछ भी रीज़न बताया मुझे तो मैं सीधा उसका एब्सेंटी मार्क कर दूंगा मुझे तुम्हारा फिजिकल प्रेजेंस नहीं चाहिए आई डोंट वांट योर फिजिकल प्रेजेंस रिमेंबर okay you should be mentally present in the practical session or even though it is a theory session okay you should give your 100% concentration then only you will learn this programming language very well okay so I can ask anytime you should be ready okay मैं अटेंडेंस ऐसे ही नहीं दूंगा सिर्फ लॉग इन हो गए और अटेंडेंस मिल गया डोंट थिंक लाइक दैट ओके अगर तुम्हारे दिमाग में ऐसा कुछ रहेगा तो तुम लोग गलत सोच रहे हो आपसे गलती होगी तो भी चलेगा मुझे गलती होगी तभी सीखोगे आप जितनी ज़्यादा गलती होगी ना उतना ज़्यादा सीखोगे जो भी एरर्स आते हैं ना प्रोग्राम्स में एरर से डरना नहीं है तो एरर से सीखना है आपको यू हैव टू लर्न इट व्हाई आई एम गेटिंग दिस एरर ट्राई इट डिफरेंटली इन योर प्रोग्राम ओके so this is the first and last warning for each and every one okay मैं सीधा absentee मार्क कर दूंगा फिर आपका absentee लग जाएगा फिर बाद में आपको इसका प्रॉब्लम ठीक है मैं बार बार नहीं बताऊंगा ये सब चीज़ें now tell me what will be the output any guess 0 or 1
0.
yes correct why because value of a is 10 right 10 means what it is 1 not of 1 means what it will negate the value not of 1 means what 0 value of a is 10 it will be what not of 1 that is 0 what will be not of 0 obviously it will be 1. Okay. Now I think you can write the program for this logical operations using servo, right? What are the changes you have to make in your program? What modifications you will do here? Tell me. So up to input it will be same, right? But as it is only the 3 operations, so you have to write %d only for how many times? 3 times only, right? What are those operations? What was the first one? What was the first one? Logical and, right? A and B, comma. What was the next one? A or B. And the third one was not operation. Not of A, or can take not of B for demonstration. Okay. So for the better displaying the values, you need to give some message here. So this is what? And operation, and is equal to %d, or is equals to %d, then not is equals to %d. It's value of here. Take some values. So I'm taking 10 and then 3. Either of and is 1 or is 1 and not is 0. We are taking not of A. Okay. So let's run for one more time. 10 and minus 6. 1, 1 and 0. Okay. So it is setting minus value also as 1. Understood? Okay, so these are the logical operators. All of you understood this logical, relational, arithmetic operator, so that we can go to the next category, that is bitwise operators. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you are not replying, then also I will consider that you are understanding the topic. Okay. And if you are facing some problem, tell me. Then I can clearly. So the next category is what? Relational, logical is over the bitwise operators. Let's see what are those bitwise operators. So these are operators applicable only for decimal integers. Remember, these bitwise operators are applicable only for decimal integers and works on binary values. Remember this point. Remember this one. These operators applicable only for the decimal integers and works on binary values. So we need to convert into decimal values into binary form. So we will convert decimal into binary form. You should know how to convert the decimal into binary form. So these are some applications of bitwise operator. We use it in a scientific calculator and in a image processing. These are the application areas. Then let's see the first operator, that is bitwise and. Remember the difference between logical and bitwise and. For logical and, we write that or and operator for 2 times, right? This is logical and this is bitwise and, only one time and operation. If you are repeating it, then it means it will be logical and. So let's find out. Suppose we have two variables, variable A, and then we have variable B. Variable A value is 10, variable B value is 2, right? So as I given you know that it works on decimal values, it works on binary values. So we need to convert those decimal values into binary form, right? So as it is working on binary values, we need to convert this decimal number 10 and 2 into binary form, because bitwise operator works on binary values. So convert it into binary. How to convert 10 into binary form? How to convert 10 into binary form? Just remember this shortcut. One from right to left, okay? Right to left. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. How- From what? From right to left. From right to left. Now you might be thinking that how I am getting all these values, right? One I am getting because of 2 raised to 0. 2 raised to 0 means how much? 2 raised to 0 means 1. Okay. Then after that, 2 raised to 2 means what? Sorry, 2 raised to 0 means 1. Then 2 raised to 1 means what? 2. Then 2 raised to 2 is 4. 2 raised to 3 is 8. 2 raised to 4 is 16. 2 raised to 5, 32. 2 raised to 6. Okay, so these are the powers of 2. Okay, for your shortcut, I have shown you like this: 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on. Right? But you might think that how I'm getting this value, so it is nothing but the power of 2, right? 2 raised to 0, 1, 2 raised to 1 is 2, 2 raised to 2 is 4, and so on. Okay, so how to find out the binary for 10? How to find out? Can I write like this? 8 8 plus 8 plus 2. 8 plus 2 means what? 10. Okay. 8 plus 2 means what? 10. Remaining will be 0. Remaining will be 0. I am converting the 10 10 into 10, which was decimal, into binary form. So how to convert? This was decimal. I am converting to binary. 8 plus 2 is 10. Remaining will be 0. If it is 12, then 8. If it is 12, then what will be the changes? 8 plus 4 will be 12. Remaining will be 0. If it is 13, then 8 plus 4. 8 plus 4 how
Plus 1.
much? Right? And plus 1. It will be 13. Getting? So I'm just converting the decimal into binary form. Decimal into binary form. That's why 1010. 8 plus 2 is 10. And how you got this? For 2, it will be 0010. Okay. Till now, I have just converted the decimal number into binary. Remember this one. Till now, I have just converted the decimal number into binary form. I haven't performed bitwise AND operation. Now I will perform the AND operation. You know what is AND, right? AND means what? If both the inputs are 1, then it will be 1. Remaining all operation will be 0. So let's check for this. 0, 0, 0, 0, this one. 0, 0, 0, and this one 0. It will be 0. 1 and 1 is 1 because this is AND operation. 0, 0 will be 0. 1, 0 will be 0. Only this 1, 1, remaining all 0. Right? Now we got the output. Now this output is in the form of binary. Again, we need to convert it into decimal form. So what is the decimal of this binary? 1, 2. So this 1 is present at 2 position, right? So it is 2 only. 1, 2, 4, 8, right? But this 1 is present at 2 position because from we go from right to left and we start with 1, 1, 2, 4, 8, right? But it is only 1 here, right? So it will be 2 only. Okay. What we have done? We have converted the decimal number into binary form. Then we perform the AND operation on it, and again we convert this binary into decimal because the input which we have given, it was is in the form of decimal forms, right? It was decimal input, right? So that's why the output should be also in a decimal only. Only for processing we convert it into binary because it works on binary values. Works on binary. Now you can easily understand this bitwise OR operation. Think on it and tell me whether you understood or not. Think on it. You can do it on your own. Understood? How we got this thing? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you understood? Please give me confirmation. It's very
Yes, sir.
simple.
Yes, sir.
We have just converted this 10 into binary form, this 2 into binary form. Then we apply this OR operation on it, right? You know what is OR, right? At least one should be 1. Both are zeros, both are 0. 1, 1 will be 1. 0, 0 will be 0. 1, 0 will be 1, right? So convert this binary into decimal again. So get 10. Next one is a bitwise XOR operation. This tilde symbol. Okay, so this cap is called as what? It's not a tilde. The AND operation is a tilde symbol. This is what? Cap. Okay. XOR, bitwise XOR. Let's check for its output. Convert 10 into binary, convert 2 into binary. Then perform XOR operation. What is XOR operation? See, if both the inputs are same, like if there is 0 0, then it is 0. If it is 1 1, so inputs are same, it will be 0. 0 0 0. So if the inputs are same, then the output is 0. If inputs are different, like 1 0 or 0 1, then it will be 1. So for this, you can remember one point. For same bits, for same bits, output will be output will be output will be 0, and for different bits, for different bits, output will be output will be 1. Now you might have understood this, right? If the bits are same, like same means what? 0 0 1 1 0 0, all these are same, so the output will be 0, right? Different means what? 1 0 0 1, so it will be 1. So this is how XOR works. Okay, so convert this binary into decimal, so you'll get 8. Now you might have understood what is bitwise XOR operation. You need to remember this point. If the bits are same, the output will be 0. For different bits, it will be 1. Then the next one is a bitwise NOT operator, right? What is the symbol for logical and logical NOT? We use this exclamation. This is what? This is what? Logical NOT. This explanation, right? And bitwise NOT is tilde symbol. Remember the difference between these, because you'll be confused with this logical and bitwise operation. Logical AND means double AND, bitwise AND means single AND. Logical OR means double pipes, bitwise OR means single pipe. Okay. This bitwise XOR means what? This is cap, and bitwise NOT we have tilde symbol, and for logical NOT we have exclamation marks. Okay. Remember these 2 points. Positive numbers are stored in a directly binary format, whereas the negative numbers are stored as 2's complement of a actual value. You have to remember this point. Okay. Positive numbers are stored in the computer memory in the binary format. There is no problem. But the problem is with negative numbers. Negative numbers are stored as 2's complement of a actual value. So what is 2's complement? 2's complement means 1's complement plus 1. Okay, 2's complement means what? 1's complement is 1's complement plus 1. Okay, suppose this is my original value, that is 0 dot 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 0 0 1 0 1 1. What is the negation of this? If I negate this value, it will become 1. Then this 0 will become 1, this 0 will become 1, this 0 will become 1, 1 will become 0, 0 will become 1, 1 will become 0, 0 will become 1. Because we are performing what? NOT operation, bitwise NOT operation. Okay, so I have converted my number into a binary form, right? So this is my original value, this is my binary form. Then I am performing the bitwise NOT operation, that is the tilde operation, right? It negates the value, 0 will become 1, 1 will become 0. So this is what nothing but the negative value, right? So I'm just negating the values, right? Remember, the first bit is the most significant bit, MSB. It represents the sign of that number. It represents what? The sign of that number. If it is 1, then the number is negative. If it is 0, then the number is positive. So this was the positive number. Now I got here 1. So this is the negative number. But negative number, as I told you, this negative numbers are stored as 2 complement of actual value. Okay, so this number will not be stored in computer memory as it is. You need to find out the 2's complement by using this formula. If I got the positive number, then no problem. In computer memory directly it can be stored in a binary format. But I got the negative number. How you identified this is negative number? Because the first bit is 1. So 1 represents what? The negative number. If it is negative number in computer memory, you cannot store it directly. So you have to calculate this 2's complement. Okay. So what is 2's complement? 1's complement plus 1. So let's check for 1's complement. So here the third stage will find out the 1's complement, right? So 1 represents what? The negative sign. So it will get converted into minus sign. Okay, 1 means what? Negative. So find out the 1's complement. 1's complement means what? You just need to negate the original value. So you have to negate this value. 1 will become 0, 1 will become 0, 0 will become 1, 1 will become 0, 0 will become 1, 1 will become 0. Plus 1. So I have negated the value and I added 1 because this is the formula of the 2's complement. How to calculate 2's complement? 1's complement plus 1. So this 1 will represent the MSB, that is the most significant bit. It will get converted into minus sign, and this remaining bit will get inverted, means 1 will become 0 and 0 will become 1. Then I will add 1 here, right? So 0 plus 1 will become 1, and this remaining bit will be 0. Sorry, as it is, right? So 1 0 1 0 0. Okay, so I have just added 1 here, the first position, because this is the formula which I'm following, right? I have calculated the 1's complement, and then after that I'm adding 1. Okay, so I got this value minus of what? What is this output? 1011 means what in decimal? Convert this 10 binary in decimal. What will be the output?
11.
Correct. It will be 11, but it will be plus 11 or minus 11? Plus 11 or minus 11? This is minus sign, no? Because this 1 was converted into minus sign. So it will be minus 11, not plus 11. Okay, this is our output. Because our input was what? This was our input. 1010. 1010 was our input. 1010 means what? 10. Right? So I was finding the bitwise and of 10. So I got it as a minus 11. I got it as a minus 11. So you can derive the formula from here. Not of x is equals to minus of x plus 1. Minus of x plus 1. Now can you tell me what is not of 11? What will be the output? minus minus. Simply use this trick. Not of x value I have taken it as 11, right? So this will be the result. Minus of 11 plus 1 will be 12, right? Because in previous case I have taken x value as 10, I got the output as minus 11, right? Now I have taken 11, right? It will be minus of 12. Just add 1 and add minus sign. That's it. If I take 12, then it will be minus 13 and so on. So this is how the bitwise operator works. Bitwise not operator. All of you understood? All of you understood or not?
Yes, sir.
Or shall I repeat?
Yes, sir.
Understood, sir.
Understood, sir.
Okay, okay. Now the next one is what? Next one is what? Left shift operator. Left shift operator. Okay, so what is left shift? Each bit is shifted to left and field is in zero. Will not understand this field is in zero. Let's see by example. Just remember each bit. So this is left shift operator, okay? Remember, so this is right shift and this is left shift. Each bit is shifted to left. So let's see by example 10, 10 left shift 2, 10 left shift 2. Okay. So convert this 10 into, so remember the first number you have to convert into binary form. So I have converted 10 into binary form, right? It will be 1010. Okay. And the second number will be number of shifts. How many number of shifts you have to shift it to the left? So it will be 2 times. One means one time, two means 2 times, three means 3 times. Okay. But the first number you should convert into binary form. How many times you have to convert? How many times you have to shift? 2 times. So I have converted 10 into binary. Then I am shifting it to the left side. So this 0 will be shifted over here. This 1 will be shifted over here. 1 bit, I'm just shifting it by 1 bit position. This 0 will be shifted here. This 1 will be shifted here. This 0 will be shifted here. But what about this position? I need to add 0 here. That's what is field is in 0. You have to fill it as a 0. Now I have shifted for only one time. I have shifted to the left for only one time. So how many times you have to shift? 2 times you have to shift. So one more time you have to do the shifting. This 1 will come here. This 0 will come here. This 1 will come here. This 0 will come here. This 0 will come here. And we need to add 0. Okay. Now convert this binary into decimal. You will get 40. Understood? Now likewise you can check for this right shift operator. So instead of left, you have to shift it to the right side now by 1 bit position, right? Convert this 10 into binary and this many times you have to shift to the right now, okay, to the right. For left shift, you have to shift it to the left by 1 bit position, and for right shift, you have to shift by 1 position to the right position. So I have just converted this 10 into this binary form. Then, okay, student, I think the time is also over, right? So we'll stop here. Please fill in your attendance. Type your attendance in chat box.